If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. It's a known fact that when narcissists have disagreements or just differences between themselves and other individuals, they can't take responsibility for whatever might be going on in that relationship. If there's a problem, if there's something that's displeasing to them, rather than saying, hey, let's sit down and talk it through, they go straight into the blame game. The problem, so they think, has to be you, because it can't be me. They have such an enamored view of themselves and such a self-absorption that they refuse to take responsibility for who they are and how they may contribute. These individuals actually, though, are deeply insecure, and so it's in their vested interest to sidestep any kind of thought that says maybe they have some flaws and imperfections that they need to look at. And so blame becomes the name of the game for these individuals. Now, I want you to notice that the more these people play this blame game, and I'm sure you've had many exposures to this, whether it's inside of the family or extended family or friendships or organizations or inside work, the more they play this blame game, the more you begin realizing there's a lot of distorted reality going on here. In other words, they just don't see things in the same way that you and I might. And they have learned to interpret you and people and circumstances in ways that justify them playing the game, the blame game. And they take this game all the way to a whole different level, unfortunately. I want to go through several ways that they use distorted thinking that allows them to blame you. Now, at the top of the list, we're going to say that when narcissists have feelings, those feelings become facts. Okay? For example, they may say, well, I feel hurt. So to them, the fact is, well, that means you're a harsh person. Or if they say, I feel angry, well, then they turn that into a fact that says, you treated me wrong. Or if they say, I feel perplexed, then to them, the fact must be, well, then that means that you're a confusing person. And rather than sitting down and saying, well, let's talk about why I feel this way, or let me break it down and understand what the reasoning is or what the backstory is that goes along with the making of these emotions, they can't do that. They have close to zero willingness to introspect and take a look at what might be going on inside of them that informs why they would feel as they do. As far as they're concerned, if they feel something, then that means the facts have to follow. And guess what? It's your fault. And so when feelings become facts, contrary to what you know to be the truth, you know that they're going straight into the blame game with you. Now, a second way that they show their distorted thinking is desires become demands. What desires do you have? I have plenty. I suspect you do too. I desire cooperation. I desire companionship. I desire acceptance. I like that. I desire understanding and many other kinds of things like that. It's very normal to have our desires. Now, with a narcissist, they have this attitude of entitlement, so it's not just I desire. It becomes I demand. Give it to me. If you want that cooperation or companionship or acceptance or understanding, you owe it to me. And so rather than saying, yeah, these are my desires and let's see if you and I can work together so that we can make it happen in a mutually gratifying way, it's like, no, you owe me these things, and if you don't, something's very wrong with you. And so this demand mentality regarding their desires becomes another platform for them to say, this is why I have to get you in line, and this is how they play their blame game. Now, another way that they show their distorted thinking is difference becomes rejection. So as you engage with narcissists, are you ever going to say, hey, I look at things differently? Well, of course you do. We all do. Variety is built into human nature, and so there are varied ways in which we approach life, or why we do things, or how we understand things, or what kind of preferences we have. When you show yourself to be different, though, with this narcissist, they can operate with a certain kind of paranoia. It's like, why are you thinking differently from me? Are you down on my case? Why are you making my life miserable? And so when you show yourself to be different, they interpret it as, you're rejecting me right now, aren't you? And it's like, no, I'm just expressing a thought that's not exactly the same as yours. No, you're rejecting me. And so in that distorted thinking, they can't just accept at face value that it's okay, in fact, even good, to have differences. It's like, oh, this is bad. This is real bad. And so they interpret you as coming against them, which isn't necessarily the case at all. Or this leads to another thought, and that is discussions become battlegrounds. Now, I want you to think, how many times have you attempted to sit down with that narcissistic person and say, let's talk? And they're thinking, oh, so what you're saying is put your dukes up and let's fight. And you're saying, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when we discuss things, that we hear each other out and we try to know one another from each other's vantage point. We try to break things down in a very reasonable adult kind of fashion. And their thinking is, no, I don't think that's the case here at all. You are coming against me. We are now adversaries, and they're incapable of having an intelligent, clarifying adult kind of communication with you. It's just not in their skill set. To somehow or another to do that diminishes them and their sense of power. Or another way that we can see their distorted thinking is your independence becomes rebellion in their way of thinking. One of the things that we know about narcissists is that they approach you in a very agenda-driven mindset. In their mind, they have A, B, C, D that you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to think and how you ought to approach it. And when you say, well, I'd like to operate with my own free will intact, I'll certainly listen to you and I'll certainly engage with you as well as I'm able. Then as soon as you go into your independent way of thinking, it's like, you're such a rebel. You're not a team player at all. And so they see you as somebody who is being defiant to them. In fact, we're going to look at that in just a second. But they have this, how dare you come against me kind of mindset. And of course, when they see you being independent and then they interpret that as your rebellion, that gives them the excuse they need to go back into the blame game. You see how it works? Or another, I used the word defiance just a second ago. When you establish boundaries, your boundaries becomes defiance to them. When we talk about boundaries, we're talking about you having a well-conceived definition of who you are and how you want to manage yourself and your priorities. And rather than a narcissist saying, that makes sense, it's like, oh, so you're defying me now, huh? And they think in such authoritarian kind of ways. They require your compliance that for you to say, well, no, I have a definition of me and I'd like to stay inside of that. It's like, you are so impossible to get along with. And that's how they think. And so that being the case, when you establish boundaries, they see you as being a defiant person. They're going to come against you with the blame. Or how about this last thing that we can say? When you approach them with a sense of calmness in the middle of your disputes with them, they interpret that as arrogance or smugness. Calmness becomes your smugness in their way of thinking. So they're thinking, oh, so you think you're all that. You think you're so much better than me. And if you kind of take the approach that says, no, what I'm doing is I don't want to argue and I don't want to go into that adversarial kind of place as you're so wont to do. I don't want to do that. It's like, yeah, you're so arrogant because you won't get inside their inferior description of who you're supposed to be. So when I say that narcissists have a way of taking this blame game to a whole other level, What I'm actually saying is their blaming tendency reveals so much distorted thinking and so many erroneous assumptions about who you are, because they're trying to stay inside their protective false self. And you're trying to say, why don't we not be false? Let's be real. And it's like, no, I don't do that. They can't do it. So let's keep in mind that the number one mistake that you can make when you're dealing with this high level blaming person who takes the blame game to a whole other level, the number one mistake you can make is play the game in reverse. When they start accusing you, you accuse them back. When they get angry with you, you just get angry back. When they kick you in the shins, you kick them in the shins. That kind of thinking. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. I do believe that when you encounter these people, it's necessary to stay firm. It's necessary to be true to your good character. Let that be the case. And if you deem it to be appropriate, explain yourself once. Remain open to good constructive dialogue. But then in the event that they bring out all of this distorted thinking and the blame game that goes along with it, recognize this is not likely to be someone that you're going to have much coordination with. That being the case, you're going to need to make your plans regarding the nature of your relationship with this individual with that reality in mind. These people are very insecure. It's in their vested interest to cover that up. Sad to say, which means they don't grow. But you don't need to go down that path with them. As a healthy person, as a member of Team Healthy, I'm not going to let my personal stability be determined by a very unstable and a very unsettled thinker like the narcissist. I don't play that game. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good insight regarding what you're dealing with. If you've not hit that subscribe button, I would certainly encourage you to do so and hit the notification bell that goes along with it. We'll keep more videos coming your way. I consider it a privilege when you allow me to be a part of your journey. Thank you for letting me be on your journey with you. Many times when you deal with something like this, it prompts the thought that says, I could use some therapy. And obviously I'm a therapist, and throughout my whole career, I've been referring people to therapy. I believe in it all the way. And so we've teamed up with a sponsor that can take you to online therapy. There's a link below that will take you to that. There's a whole team of licensed, professional, experienced therapists, and you can choose somebody that can work that through with you. In addition, we have my courses, and they're multiple videos and teaching points and questions that go along with it. They're meant to have a therapeutic goal to that. This is me, and free to be about establishing boundaries or finding yourself despite the controllers. I would strongly encourage you to go into that, and we've received very good feedback on that. In addition, we have my books and other resources that are listed below. Narcissists, they will play the blame game with you day and night. And when you say, hey, let's talk, they're thinking, oh, so you're against me now, huh? That's the way they think. And so knowing that, I'm hoping you can say, all right, I see their game and I opt out, because I want to be a person that stands for dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we do on Team Healthy, and that's not how you do it. Because the hope that I have for you is that you'll be somebody who's able to live inside your peace, and you'll become one who offers peace to those in your presence. Let's stand for that.